Hey.
Hello. How is everybody? I think I'm glitchy. Can you all hear
I
me?
can hear you perfectly fine.
Bueno, okay. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited, looking forward to this room. We have some great questions between Jackie and I, and hopefully we'll have some people from the audience come up and ask some questions as well. So we're waiting on Jackie. So gonna take just a moment to do a little bit of what do you call it? Any notifications.
Housekeeping?
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Housekeeping. Yes. If you're not following the room or the club already, click that little green house up top. And if you're interested in learning more about all the types of rooms that we have, please visit the amigos.club online. And we are always encouraging people to come to the moderators if you're interested in hosting a room, because we know that each and every one of you have something of value to share. And that's what this community is for. It is to share knowledge, to empower one another, and to do collaborations. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm a little late, but my app has been glitching today. Will not let me get into the room. So
Uh-oh.
it's just being crazy.
Girl,
Yes.
I'm going to pull out that chinela.
I am just very, very excited to be here tonight. Thank you, all of you guys, for joining us. And I did not know, I don't know what I missed, but I guess we can go right into it, or
Yeah,
what are we
I
doing?
just
So
did some
please
house.
bring me up to date.
Yeah, I just did some housekeeping, so we can go ahead and get started. And you can go ahead and take the lead, Jackie.
Well, did you introduce Miss Danay Scanavidino already?
Not yet. So
Okay.
really, yeah.
Well, Miss Danay Scanavidino.
Okay,
Did she
it's
just
not just me,
throw
right?
her?
Se fue. ¿Qué pasó,
Dun
Jackie?
dun dun! That's it. That's her intro. Miss Danay Marino.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, I'm gonna choke. I was eating chocolate.
Oh God. Okay. Let me see if I can ping her back in here. Man, she is having a heck of a day with this platform today.
Oh my.
Bear with
Yes.
us, you all. This will go more smoothly.
I know, I'm still choking on that chocolate. Oh my gosh.
Oh God. And we have replays on, so more people will be able to enjoy this moment in the future.
Oh my gosh, you're talking about yeah, Jackie disappearing and Dolly choking on her chocolate. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Hello. I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm telling you, there is just something wrong with this app today. It's just not working with me. Um, but I'm gonna give the mic to Dali in case I get kicked out again.
Okay, I'm good. Yes, let me tell you a little bit about Danai. Danai is not only an amazing person as a human being, I would say she's like that wonderful aunt that you just can't live without. She is she's an entrepreneur, she's a role model, she is Latina poderosa, and she really knows how to captivate people and just steal their hearts with her genuine love for wanting to help them. She founded the Amigos Club a little over a year ago. And she's also the founder of Latina Meetup, two great groups that have grown. And I mean, she has done. If you reach out to her and ask her, "Hey, Danai, can I get some help?" She will do whatever she can to help you out. And I don't know, I just don't have enough words to describe who she is. So I'm just gonna hand over the mic to Danai and tell us a little bit about you, and then Jackie and I will get started with a few questions.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. Timing. I just got a phone call. So yeah, no, thank you for having this room. I am trying to step out of my comfort zone. I'm not a fan of talking about myself. I love learning about other people and their journeys and meeting other people. I love figuring things out, tinkering mentally. But I'm bored with myself because, like, I know myself. I know all of my stories, so I'm not really a fan of talking too much about myself. But I appreciate you guys having this room and inviting me to talk more about myself. Or rather my journey, and the things that I'm passionate about, because that's really what I like to talk about, is the things that I'm passionate about. So so my name's Danay Escanaverino, and I have been in digital marketing for a really long time, 25 plus years. I love what I do. I love the industry. It keeps me on my toes because I'm constantly learning, and I love learning. I know it's very geeky, but it is who I am. So yeah, this is my industry. I love it. And I'm very, very passionate about my community, Latinidad in general. Am very, I'm just very, I see the good, I see the opportunity, I see the positive. And so, for me, it's like a life's mission is to build our community and help people realize, that they're powerful and that together we are better. And so that's kind of my spiel.
Thank you, Denai. Somebody, from somebody that knows you for such a long, long time, Denai and I would have been friends more than anything for many, many years. Um, and I have seen her love for the Latino community. I've seen her love for the Latino market. She's always push to see how much important we have as consumers, as business owners. So, my question to start is, why is uplifting the Latino Hispanic community so important to you?
Okay, because of the numbers, right? I told you guys I was a geek. I really am. And I love looking at the numbers, and the numbers do not lie. And I'll tell you what they are. I work with brands. Specifically, I connect big brands to multicultural consumers. That's all of us, right? And so I see how they just absolutely fall over themselves to try to figure out ways to access us, to sell to us, to tell us about how great they are and why we should buy their products or services. And the reason that they do that is because Latinos are, bar none, the most powerful consumer segment you could ever imagine. We represent over 2 trillion in GDP. That's a freaking country, gente. That's, be like anywhere between sixth and position, as far as GDP is concerned, behind like Italy and France. Like, think about that. That's enormous, right? But we're so fragmented that, we don't realize it, and we don't harness that power that we have. And really, what we should be doing is we should be representing so much power when it comes to influence, that, that the brands would just that we would be controlling basically everything. Like, we would be controlling the world. It would be total world domination. So yeah. So to bring it back down a little bit, we're really powerful. We are a powerful segment. I see it every day. And so when I hear people talking about the negatives, right, about the Latino, connecting it to immigration problems and people stealing jobs. And we all know, whether you're, wherever you stand on the political spectrum, that, for the past few years, there was a lot of negativity that was associated with being Latino, right? And so I just want people to realize that all of that, that's just propaganda. The reality is that we are tremendously, immensely powerful. And so I'm just on a mission to make sure everybody knows that.
Thank you, Dana. I'm really I love that you always mention the power that we have, especially with our consumer power, our economic power, because when it comes down to it, when people make decisions such as like going to vote and whatever, the number one thing that most people think of is the economy. So knowing that we have that power is really important, so that people can maybe think a little more about, okay, we've got this, right? But there's more. So if we can control that, if we can have so much influence in that, then we can influence other things. So before we move on, I'm gonna recap this a little. I mean, ¿cómo se dice? Reset the room.
Reset.
I'm having issues today. Yes, I'm going to reset the room. If you just came in, we are today celebrating and Danay who is the founder of the Amigos Club, which you are in right now. And if you have any questions for her, we invite you to use that little papelito airplane thing at the bottom right and send us the questions. And don't forget to please share this room with someone or here in the app. You see those two little arrows at the bottom left? Go ahead and tap that and share the room, so that we can get more Latinos to come in here and learn more about the club, about Danai, and everything that she's doing. All right. So, Jackie, do you want to ask the second question?
Sure. Um, I just wanted to kind of, I know, like I said, we've known each other for a while, so I kind of know a little bit your background, history, and all that. But I would like you to share with the audience as well to tell us a little bit about your professional trajectory. How did you get to where you are, and tell us a little bit what that is like for you. What was that like for you?
Oh man. Okay. So where do I begin? I went to college for journalism. I did not go to school for technology at all. Nobody taught, in the mid 90s, nobody taught how to market online. And so I pretty much went on a journey of, just finding out how to how to make your website show up in the search engines. There wasn't a thing. SEO was just beginning, and so I just started to learn and apply. I really really love testing and tinkering, with methods and ideas, and so I got really good at it. And I started, just working on a contract basis, and I'm talking about when I was like 19, 20, 21. I started working on a contract basis with companies, doing their SEO, getting their websites to be visible. And so that was like my first, I was always entrepreneurial. Like I've always, it's ridiculous. I've always been entrepreneurial. It's part of like my makeup, but yeah, so I would, what's called a side hustle now. That's kind of what I had going on. And I would just, go and sell SEO services to companies who had no idea what the hell I was talking about. So I had to like convince them that they needed it, that it was going to bring them leads and that it was going to bring them business. And it did, right? And it was really freaking easy back then. I mean, I'm talking about, first of all, Google wasn't even around. And Yahoo was one of the big search engines, right? And Alta Vista, if anybody remembers that. And you literally, you want to know what the secret was to showing up on the search engines on the top page? Just
What
submitting.
was it?
Just
What? Oh
submitting
my gosh.
your information to Yahoo and Alta Vista, because remember at that point there wasn't Google was the first real meta search engine, which basically means it was the search engine of all search engines. So Google would crawl all of the other search engines, and give you the search results, and so Google let everybody else do all the work and they got all the glory. So yeah, it was really easy, and but then it developed, right? It definitely grew as an industry, and the skill sets grew, and it became more demanding, and so keeping up with it was really a big part of being able to be successful with it. But just getting in when it first started was a big plus. So that was the beginning of me getting into internet marketing, and then I just I went to work for a startup. I went to work for a travel agency. I built out their entire online travel. Online travel booking engine, and I worked with a bunch of developers, and that's where I first got connected with a lot of like the development industry in India, Israel, and I expanded my network with that. And then from there, I got recruited to work at another startup, which was a digital agency. And I was, I started with affiliate marketing, which again was in its infancy, and this was before social media. And then as I was in the digital agency, we got acquired, and I went through a bunch of acquisitions. As a matter of fact, through one of those acquisitions, that's where I hired Jackie, and that's where Jackie and I met each other. But so yeah, so went through the startups and acquisitions and all that stuff, and then I got recruited for something else, and it was just startup after startup. Gaining my skill set, building out teams. I really loved building teams, so I built out like the search engine marketing team. This was for MediaWiz when I was the digital marketing director, and then I built out the search team. I built out the affiliate team. And it was a lot of fun because we were kind of making stuff up as we went along, right? There weren't a lot of things that there are now. And it was really interesting, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Eventually, though, I knew that I wanted to go on my own again. And so, a few years after that, I ventured into a partnership, and that was an epic failure. But I learned a lot of lessons, and eventually I wound up opening my agency 11 years ago. That's where I am now.
Oh, I remember those days. Oh, those crazy wild days. But thank you so much, Denai, for answering the question. I see that we have Ben on the stage. Ben has a question for Denai. Go ahead, Ben. The mic is yours.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for hosting this room. It's always very important to talk about who are the founders of great ideas, and talking about Danai for all of us, I guess, is significant also to get to know a little bit about, you know, when we approach professionals, what do they come from and what their experience is. So thank you again for the room and all of you guys in the audience. I just have a question. I have the question that I normally ask everybody. And it's like, what is your most rewarding experience in your career? Like, what was that point where you said, I am complete, I am satisfied, I know I made this happen?
Oh man, I have a bunch of them. Um, so I think so. One of my first was okay, first month we're going to hit 100,000. And, that was a lofty goal. Didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. Um, but I did. But not only did I hit 100,000 in the first month, we did a $300,000 month, our first month of launch. And so, Jackie, you'll remember that was PhillyNet. And so, yeah, that was like an epic thing where I was just like, yes, I can do this. I'm really good at it, and I just proved it. And it was just it was exhilarating. It was absolutely exhilarating. Another big win was when I had an event, Latina Meetup in New York City, and it was our second year. And Latina Meetup is a community that I created, much like Amigos, but it was an in person. It is. An in-person event, right? That we would go to different cities, and we did a multi-city tour, and we featured Latina, like we featured a Latina tequila brand, and Exotico Tequila. Check them out. She's amazing. We we featured like all of these different Latina brands, and then what I did was I had partnerships that enabled me to throw these amazing events where we had free cocktails and tastings and food, and we had goodie bags with giveaways for everybody, and we had like almost 400 attendees show up. So the big deal for me with that, and we also had Latina change makers that we would highlight, and we would give prizes to and awards to and stuff like that. And the really cool part of that, like the big win, the thing that I really loved, was there were two big things for me. One of them was through those events, I was able to introduce a ton of Latina brands to, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people, all for free, because I was able to subsidize everything, the marketing, the events, the venues, all of it, with the brand relationships, right? Because again, brands really want to reach us. And so I turned that into a way to support Latina businesses for free, with free marketing and free promotion and free everything. And so that was a really big win for me. And the second big part of that was just hearing people tell me how much it meant to them, right? Because again, I'm a big stats geek, so I'm really into the numbers and how things back out. I don't want to just like say, oh, I did this or this was great. I want to know what the impact was. And so I received tons of like notes from people, specifically telling me, look, I made this many more sales, and it really made a difference, or I got featured. We helped get a lot of people featured in media, and so I got featured in this magazine, and I have a news, I have an appearance that I'm going to make in my my local NBC station, and just all of that stuff like just fills my cup, right? And so that was a big plus for me in my career too.
Wow. No, well, I would say that I get from that like the connectivity of people and empowering people in the Latino community. Aside of like being a proud Cuban, I
Yes,
would
I am.
say thank you. Thank you for giving so many people the opportunity to connect, which is one of the most magical things that anybody could do in business or in personal relationship. Is that kind of impact is what this community needs the most, and always people like you with that drive of introducing brands, of promoting the Latino community and what we have to offer as consumers. It's amazing. I really want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you. And just to follow that up, it's not just that we're great as consumers, we're also amazing entrepreneurs. By the way, another big thing, if you guys weren't aware, even Janet Yellen said it, uh, that the last few recessions that this country has had, what has dug us out has been the Latino entrepreneur and the Latino worker, and building back. So I just wanted to remind everybody about that too.
Thank you, Danai. I'd like to invite anybody down below. If you have a question or a comment, come on up. Don't be shy. And don't forget also to send us your questions via that little back channel messenger. Welcome, Nando. Do you have a question for Danai?
I do. Hey, Danai.
Hey, Nanda. Or
So
wait, let me call you what I know Herman loves to call Fernando.
now I feel like I'm in trouble. Yeah. So my question is, who inspired you back then, and who inspires you now?
Oh man, that's a great question. Okay, so my big brother Gene, uh, he passed away 6 years ago next month. And if I tell you that I had hero worship, I couldn't even. I really, really had hero worship. My brother was absolutely brilliant. And okay, so here's how brilliant he was. When he was 5 years old and we were in Cuba, you know, my dad had this prized possession radio, right? You were talking about Cuba in the middle of, like, in the late 70s, when there's nothing, much like now. But there also wasn't this situation where people send money from the United States at that point, not to the extent that we are now. And so my dad had this one little prized possession, which was his radio. Well, my brother, not 5, he was 6. When he was 6 years old, he took my dad's radio apart. Like, he took it apart, all the pieces everywhere. My dad got mad at him. My dad yelled at him. My brother got scared, and he took all of those pieces and he put it all back together, and the radio worked. 6 years old. My brother was brilliant. And so, you know, when we were kids, it was a constant buzz of us challenging each other, and not in like a bad way, but in a good way, in an exciting way. And so, when I was 16, and we were in high school, he challenged me to learn about computing, and I absolutely hated it. I had such a fear of it. I just didn't feel like it was my thing. My thing was writing. My thing was, I was really good with reading, with writing, not so great with the math. And so, to me, computing meant math, lots of math. And so one day we were sitting at the computer lab, and it was after school, and he just challenged me. He just said, "Here, take this manual and just read it." And it was like a DOS programming manual or something. And I read it, and I loved it. I read it in one sitting, and I learned DOS. And then the next day it was another manual, and I learned like Lotus 1 2 3 in one day. And then the following day, it was like Word Perfect, and I learned it all in one day. And so I really, really loved it. And that's kind of that was our thing. Like, we would always challenge each other to learn and to be better and to compete with each other, but in a good way. Um, and he was so brilliant. He was, my brother was overweight. He was very, very, very overweight, very heavy, and he navigated in the world like with the confidence of someone who had, I don't know, the physique of a Yves. He was just like so confident, and I was not. I was actually, talk about imposter syndrome. I was very, very insecure as a kid. And so he was this confident person, and everything he did, he just attacked it with this tremendous confidence. He didn't let that people said me bring him down. He just proved to them, okay, fine, you talking, look at what I'm achieving, look at what I'm doing. And so, yeah, so I babble about my brother a lot because I absolutely adored him, and I miss him tremendously. And he was absolutely my, he was just someone that I always looked up to. And when he passed away, that church, at his service, was packed, and there were people standing outside because they couldn't fit the many people that he had impacted, and that he had, whose lives he'd touched and changed and loved him. And so, yeah, that's the one person that totally inspired me as a kid and growing up.
Thank you for that. I think it says so much about an individual who they choose to call out as their inspiration. And I just hear so much love and admiration. I think we all do when you speak of your brother. And I think, it gets me excited to hear these stories, right? Um, and it's just such a great piece of the bigger puzzle of, like, okay, this is how Danai became Danai, and it sounds like he was such a huge um, advocate for you. So thank you so much for sharing your stories of him, and thank you for tonight. Thank you for sharing more of who you are, so we can get to know you on this level. So thanks, Danai.
I think you had
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. But I think Nando had a second part of the question, which I'm very curious to know. He asked, who inspires you now? Is there somebody different, or is it still your brother?
Um, I'd have to say he was a really, really tough act to follow. Um,
You mean
but
Cardi B doesn't even make it in the top five? No.
I will tell you, and it's so like what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of cliche because I know so many people say this person, Donald Trump. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
My heart
I'm
just
about to leave
stopped.
the room.
It literally just stopped.
Oh God, I can't. I
Jackie,
gotcha.
vámonos.
Okay, so it's like the room
I
shuts
think
down.
I think we need to move her to the audience now.
No, no, God, no. So Oprah, I think Oprah is so inspiring to me because she also came from nothing, and she was a little girl who really didn't really wasn't surrounded by people that lifted her up and supported her, and she came from a broken home and I came from a broken home. The difference is obviously I had my brother as my pal, but yeah, I really, really love how she's turned into this person who I know people talk about how much money she's made and all that stuff, but for me, I look at how she changed TV because when she was coming up in TV, it was all of the toxic stuff, right? Like the Jerry Springers and all of those, like who you are the father, like all of those, right? And she was also one of those shows, and she decided, no, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to make my show about inspiring women. And she did. And most people bet against her because they thought she wasn't going to be on the air much longer. But she proved that, it doesn't have to be about like showing all that toxicity. It can be about uplifting people, elevating people, and focusing on the good and the possibilities. So yeah, Oprah.
Thank you, Danai. That's really cool. I mean, everybody has a different person, right? No, no wrong answer. All right, so now I have a question. I mean, I have a ton, but I'm curious because you are very analytic. You collect data, you study it, you like that's a party for you. So, how do you see the marketing field changing, and as new technology and new tools are introduced to the public? Because I find that Latinos sometimes we are resistant to change. So, what do you foresee?
You know, it's actually the opposite, Dali. So it's Latinos adopted mobile technology way before anybody else did. We led in mobile technology adoption. We lead in social media adoption. So even though in other things in life we may be we may not like the change and we like to stick to our ways. In technology, in the form of social media, I would say, in social media and mobile adoption and all of that stuff, we're actually like at the head of it. Like we lead it in every single study that there is.
Wow, that's interesting. I did not know that because I see so many people that are like, "Oh, I don't want to do Reels. Oh, I don't want to do TikTok or whatever." But I guess that was just my perception. All right. Well, moving along, my other question is, um, what um, what was how was Amigos the club born and why?
That's a great question. Okay, so when I first got onto Clubhouse, and just like my history on Clubhouse, I had a buddy who, so his name is Joshua, and he had invited me, and I did not want to come onto the app because I was like, I can't do another social network, you know, maybe another time. Uh, but then Christmas came around, we were in lockdown, and I was like, you know what? Let me try it out. A couple reached out to me and told me that, I was missing out. And so I was like, okay, you got me. FOMO got me. And so I jumped on, and that was December. And the first thing I noticed was that there were no like Latino rooms. There were a lot of Black rooms, which I thought was dumb. But then I was like, well, what happened to the Latinos? How come we're not getting together and collaborating and having all of these great rooms? I mean, there's no lack of talent, there's no lack of interesting people and interesting topics, right? Like, I mean, how many, just look at the movie Encanto. How many rooms haven't we had about how Encanto affects us and how we identify with it? Like, we've picked it apart a million times, and there's still a million more ways to pick it apart. And that's just one movie, one topic. And so, I was like, okay, there's, nobody. And so I started hanging around a little bit more. And then I started finding more Latinos, and I found a few groups. And I jumped in and out of some of the groups. A lot of the rooms that I found were just people yelling at each other and fighting. And, you should call everybody Latinx and you shouldn't call everybody Latinx. And, Latinx is stupid. Well, stupid and you're ignorant. And like, just back and forth. I argue with people. I don't want to yell at people, to learn from people. I want to hopefully teach people. I wanted to be in spaces that were, about moving forward, about finding solutions, like, yeah, okay, if there is an issue, can we talk about solutions without attacking each other personally? Can we be nice? And so that's why I created Amigos, and that's why the name is Amigos, right? It's, the connotation is that it's fun, it's nice, it's friendship. Because I knew that we were out there. I see everybody here in the audience and on the stage, and I see that we all represent that. And so I knew that we needed a space for that, and I created the group, and I said, okay, I'm going to give myself a month. I'm going to start, a networking room every morning, same time. And I just kept being consistent, and it just kept growing. And, eventually I met all of these wonderful people. I invited everybody I knew. Like, every time, Clubhouse gave me invites, I was like, shoop, here you go. Invite, invite, invite. And then everybody that I invited, I told them, hey, invite so and so and so and so and so and so. And, I just kept on like trying to get people in here, and finding the people that I felt had that same vibe, right? Of, not necessarily mostly wanting to move forward and have great conversations and learn from each other and help each other. And so that's where we are.
Oh, thank you so much, Danay. I'm gonna reset real quick. If you just joined us, we are speaking with Danay Scanaverino, the Amigos founder, and we invite you to come up to the stage and ask her any questions you might have. And also, you can send us the question via the back channel. And yeah, and make sure that you're sharing this room. Please use those two little arrows on the bottom left and share this room. All right, so I see that we have Hasmina and then Julie. So Hasmina, the mic is yours.
Gracias, gracias. Hello, hi girls. My amazing room, and Danai, I am like blown away with your story. I really like it. It's very inspiring. And my question for you is, what advice or tip will you give to someone that is where you were when you first started around the age of 19? What will be that for that person? Thank you.
Hola, Yasmina. Thanks for coming up here. So, two things. Um, One, whoever it is in your life right now, when you're young or even any age, right? Anybody that you find is bringing you down. And what I mean by that is, and they might not be doing it on purpose, right? But if you're really ambitious and you really have a goal and you want to attain, you want to get to that goal, you're not going to be able to do it by hanging out with your friends, going out partying every night, waking up, hungover the next day, and spending your weekends just partying and getting drunk or high and then being hungover. You're not going to have the energy, the initiative. It's just not going to be there. And so, you have to make that decision of, sometimes certain friendships are, I forget that saying about, some friends are for a season, a reason, a season, whatever. Sometimes, you're going to have to put those relationships aside and maybe say, see you later, or I need some time. I need to focus on my goals. You cannot do it. It's impossible to be able to reach your goals if you're surrounding yourself with people who are bringing you down when it comes to that. And, that's just one example, right, of like always partying and not really working on your goals. But there are many different ways that people can bring you down. Sometimes it's the person who, is constantly putting you down or putting you in positions where, you're being less than the true value of who you can be and who you can represent. Um, and so, yeah, that's one big thing is you really, really need to look at who you have around you and, course correct that, right? And make sure that you surround yourself with people who do push you to be your best, who do tell you when you're not doing well, and who will advise you to your best interests, who will give you criticism, but it's going to be constructive. It's not going to be the other type of criticism, which is, people who want to keep you down because they don't want to feel so bad, and so they want to bring you to their level. So that's one, right? The people who you surround yourself with. And the other is make sure you are constantly creating a network for yourself of people that you help and that eventually they're going to be able to help you too. And the more you build out your network, the more you're building out your possibilities, the more you're building out, people you can reach out to when you need something. And so those two are my big ones. Build your network and fix who you surround yourself with.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
And thank you,
question.
husband.
Yeah, no, and okay, so Ben just sent me friends are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Thank you, Ben. I would have never remembered that.
Uh,
Yeah, it's always one of my sayings.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Jorge, I feel like Danai was calling you out in the beginning, right? Like, don't have friends that party and bring you down and
Were
drink.
you
So just,
relating, Nando? You were relating to it. Okay, everybody. Up next, we have Julie. Julie, the mic is yours.
Danai, you are one of the women that I really truly admire, not only in this app, but outside of this app. And I am so happy that we connected. And that's my word for the year, people. But I had a conversation earlier today with Nando. And this really got me thinking. I think your ears might have been ringing. We were saying how you are creating this community where we have these positive, uplifting, informative conversations. But we live in a world that can be so polarizing, that there's so many different divides. And I would love to get your take on how can we, as one community here in Amigos, can continue to create a platform where we are building bridges and we are building, again, conversations that matter, that are open, and not necessarily just to sway one person in one way or another direction, but to really be able to give the opportunity to be heard and maybe understand where people are coming from. And what do you see the role of Amigos overall in that? Thank you.
You know, Julie, I love that you asked me that question. Thank you so much. And thank you for your kind words. I'm working on receiving it. So thank you very much for that. So, you know, yeah, I mean, there's so much polarization, right? Uh, we encountered this issue way in the beginning of the group. And, the solution in my mind was, well, let's just have this one rule, the golden rule, right? For me, the golden rule represents kindness. If you cannot be kind and respectful to someone, regardless of what they may be saying about a specific topic and how disgusted you might be at their position, you can still extend them respect and kindness. And in exchange, extend you respect and kindness. And then what happens is something magical when people aren't calling each other terrible things, right? And treating each other like the vilest creatures, right? We're all human beings with emotions, and we all have our own trajectory, our own lives, our all of the things that impact how we feel about stuff. When we can just treat each other with respect and kindness, then we can start listening and be listened to. I don't how much of a perfect orator you are, right? How great of a are. If you're being mean to somebody, they're not going to be open to anything you're saying. You could be making the most amazing point, right? Doesn't matter because all they're thinking is, you're a jerk. You just called me this, or you just made me feel terrible. I think you're the most horrible human being. And so, my answer we absolutely must expect kindness and respect in our spaces with no excuses. If you cannot bring yourself to be kind and respectful to someone you're speaking to on the stage, then you do not belong on the stage. You need to take a moment, figure your stuff out, and come back at another time. Else is on the stage does not deserve anything other than kindness and respect.
Thank you so much, Danai. And I think that this really sums it up. And this is one of the reasons why so many of us come to Amigos, not only to forge relationships, but to network and to continue to experience each other's stories, right? So thank you again for that answer. That's terrific. I love it.
Thank you, Julie.
It is indeed a great answer. And again, I'm going to say amen to that. Kindness. Like the saying says, you get more with honey than with vinegar. So there it goes. Now I am going to give the mic to Benjamin. Benjamin, thank you for being here. Please ask your question.
Thank you for having me, Jackie. It's cool to see everyone again that I've met before. Nice to see some new faces. Danay, it's amazing to see you again. And as I sit here watching Cubanos por el Mundo on my iPad, it makes me think, do you have a message that you want to give to the Cuban women back home that are essentially fighting for their lives right now?
Oh, Benjamin. First, thank you for hanging out. Speak also about the Jewish plight and the Jewish Cuban connection, which is a tremendous history in itself, right? So I have about 60 something aunts, uncles, cousins back in Cuba. My basically my entire side of my mom's side of the family, except for a few that we've been able to bring over. And I speak with them almost daily, and it's heartbreaking. And it's also one of the reasons why, like, I don't sweat a lot of like silly stuff, because I constantly have in the back of my mind, mi prima no, she doesn't have uh food. We lost couple of family members due to COVID, because even though they said they had the vaccines and they worked great and all that propaganda, which was all lies, they were suffering. And I get tripped up when I talk about my family there. So uh, my message to the women in Cuba is, esperanza, hope, because that's all they have. Um, and unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do here that, other than trying to support them however they ask us to support them. There's nothing that we can do here. It has to be, the change in Cuba has to be from within. It just has to be. And I don't know how that happens, because it's a country where when the communist regime took over during the revolution, immediately afterwards, Castro was brilliant. He was like, "Hey, everybody, turn in all your weapons," and so nobody has any weapons. So when they did the July 11th uprising, it was just people out on the streets getting beaten by the militia because they had no weapons. And so yeah, my message to them is just esperanza. And I don't know, because I speak from a place of tremendous privilege. I speak from a place where if I want to go to the store and buy anything under the sun, all I have to do is get in my car and drive my happy ass over to the store, throw down my credit card and get anything I want. And to them, that is beyond comprehension, beyond comprehension. So I wouldn't be able to come from a place of knowing what they go through.
Muchas gracias, Danay. I appreciate it.
Gracias a ti. Not very inspiring, but I have to be truthful.
Thank you, Danay. And up next we have Herman. Herman, what is your question or comment?
Hey, buenas noches a todos. My question for Danay is very serious. So, Danay, who is your favorite gay? German or Nando? Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. My question, my real question is, when did you adopted your first pet, or how old were you?
I love that question, Herman. Oh gosh. I always had pets, right? I would go and find any broken animal, like anything with a broken wing. I ran a bathtub when I was a kid. I had a mouse that I found in someone's garage. I had I'm trying to remember how old I was when I first brought a creature into my house, and it must have been like my first memory is when I was 7, and I somehow found this baby duck with a broken wing, and I brought it home, and I cried and cried and cried and begged until my dad helped me mend it, and he even let me keep it in the bathtub. I don't know how that happened, but he did. And so, yeah, I think I was 7.
Oh, I knew you were an animal lover. Thank you for answering that question.
Thank you for asking me. That just brought me back a really great memory. Thanks.
That is so cute. See? And that's why he is so sweet. There you go.
We know
So
we know whose favorite gay Jackie's.
No.
Hey, don't put
Uh-oh.
words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. But I love Herman. Although I
PTR for my favorite
admire
gay.
Nando. Come on. I mean, I want to grow up and have Nando's hair. Come on.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
put it out there. So with that, I am going to pass the mic now to Heather. Heather, you have a question for Danai?
Yes, I have some. Maybe it can be better phrased, but I just want to comment. Thanks tonight for speaking. I love how you bring so much joy and so much positive energy. I've been having a hard day, but listening, I can listen to y'all forever. It makes me just smile and laugh and makes me feel like I'm right there with y'all. So my question um, is kind of multiple. So I don't know if anyone knows, but Danai, she traveled around via van for a while, and she did like the van life. So I have some questions. Like, first of all, I never got the full story, and I'm not asking for the full story here. I would love to have a whole on conversation about that. But I don't know if you want to, if is there anything you want to share about that? Because I have no idea how long it was, and my biggest question is like, is that like, what was like your biggest takeaway, and is there a takeaway that you still have now that you apply to your everyday life? Because I had my own personal big adventure, and I have this huge profound realization. So I don't know if there's anything you want to share with us.
Hey, Heather. First of all, I love you, Chica. I'm glad that you were able to join us tonight. Um, so yeah, in 2013, my oldest was, he had just out of Afghanistan, and he was in Korea. And my youngest was 9. And I had a, like, I don't know, like a come to Jesus moment. Like, I looked around me, I saw my youngest, I realized, damn, my kid just got out of war. It was the worst year of our lives. Um, didn't have any sleep. And something just hit me. I was like, I can't. I have to go, and I have to travel, and I have to experience and see everything. I keep on saying, I'm going to do it one day. I'm going to do it one day. One day is now. I have to do it. Something came over me. I don't know what it was. I think it was just the realization that, time goes by really, really fast. And, today's the day, right? Seize the day. And so I went from never having gone camping a day in my life. I hiked a lot, but I never like went camping. I never stayed overnight anywhere. And I went and I bought an RV, and like the giant bus one. And we rented our house out. We sold all our furniture, put everything else, like the important stuff in storage, and went RVing cross country. And we did that for 3 years, from 2013 to 2016. We visited like almost every state. I think there were like 6 states that we didn't visit. And it was the most amazing experience ever. I got to meet people from everywhere. And, we talk about what Julie was saying about how polarized we are. Well, when you meet people face to face, and like, it's just the person to the person, you realize that we're all just the same. We all have different stories, different ways where we got there, but we're really all just trying to make it, trying to live our best life, and trying to do well for our family. And yeah, I got to meet amazing people. And my big takeaway, my huge takeaway was, so, we were a family, a young family, and, basically 80% of the people that were doing this at that time were retirees. And so we got to go to a lot of campgrounds. We got to meet a lot of retirees. And one thing that I really, really noticed was the retirees that had a very, very good quality of life were the ones that were taking care of their diet and were active all the time. And the ones that were struggling, were the ones that weren't. And so it was like a really, really good like reminder that, hey, if you want to be healthy and you want to be, really mobile, and like, have good quality of life into your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, I don't know. I plan on living to 100. We'll see what happens. We'll see what God's plan is, but that's my goal. That's my number. But so that was the big takeaway was, okay, I need to make sure that I'm constantly active and just taking care of myself now so that when I get there, I can still be active and, enjoy my life. And that was my takeaway from that.
I love it. That's one thing I want to do before I die. Go on an RV, get an RV, and just travel, and it must be amazing. But we have other questions from several people. Let's start with, let's see, Janie. She says, when I think of Danai, I think of someone who's very passionate in her beliefs and also very analytical. So I'm curious, does she most often follow her head or her heart? Ooh, good question.
Damn, that's a good question. Hey, Janie. It depends. It really, really depends on the situation. If it's business, always follow my head. Always, always, always follow my head. If it has to do with family, loved ones, it really depends, right? Because, let's say parenting. Uh, Sometimes I have to be the bad guy. And, well, actually, most of the time I'm the bad guy. Um, and I'm the disciplinarian for my boys, and so my heart wants to be the fun parent and the cool parent and all of that stuff, but my head says, well, yeah, but that's feeding into what you want, but what your kid needs is for you to be the tough ass, so you have to do that.
Oh yeah, that's hard. Go ahead, Jackie.
As I'm saying it, my 19-year-old is barreling down the hallway going, wait a minute. She's talking about me.
Yeah, makes sense.
What he has to say.
We
Dad, I love Dad more.
That, yeah. I love.
Oh.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
It's like that.
Dad's awesome.
Yeah, he's
joking. I'm joking.
he's trolling me. We did each other. It's okay.
I love that. It's just, to me, it's still so hilarious because I met Aiden when he was just a chubby, beautiful little baby. So cute,
In there.
small. This little
No,
toddler.
just have to put Chubby in there. Oh, he's just a chubby little kid.
He's gorgeous. Okay, he's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous boy.
Okay.
And it's just funny for me when I hear him trolling her, because I remember him being this cute little kid, and now he's this teenager that trolls his mom. So it's hilarious. But we also have a question from Lou, so I am going to read it. She is asking, what's one of her regrets that she now sees different?
So I wanted to have a lot of kids, like a lot, and I didn't. And my regret. So I do regret not having more children. I love children. Not that they're the same, but those are just things that I love. Uh, but now I have two grandbabies, and so I'm almost finished with raising children, and I see how much easier having grandchildren is. Now I get to follow my heart and do all the fun stuff and be the cool grandma and send them back, full of sugar. And so I'm kind of seeing it differently now, because I'm going to get to just kind of enjoy the fun part of kids and not the discipline part of kids.
Man, I hear that so much from grandparents. So, wow, that's really cool. Okay, so and we have another one from Consuelo, and her question is, in the Latino market, where do you feel we still have a lot of work or progress to do?
Ooh, that's a great question. So I think just entrepreneurs supporting each other. And what I mean by that is we should be acting as if we have our own good old boys club. And that means we should always actively be connecting people to each other. Because the more that we expand each other's networks, the more that we expand our community in general, and just the influence and the wealth that comes with that, you know. And I know I talk about wealth and influence a lot, and I'm not talking about like wealth in the way that, you know, maybe it's coming across. What I mean by that is, as a community, as a collective, right? Latinidad, Latinos, uh, when we harness our wealth together, right? What we represent, when we harness it within our community and help each other out, what happens is wealth equals influence. It just does, right? That's why, you know, that's why campaigns are built on donations. That's why, you know, it just, money runs the world and money equals influence. And so when we focus that on each other, right, we buy Latino, we connect people that we know with people that we know need their services. That generates the wealth within the community together, and that equals the influence. And what I mean by influence is when the politicians come and promise us everything under the sun, and then they get voted into office and then they turn their backs on us, which pretty much happens a lot. That won't happen because the influence and the wealth will be there to back it. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say that.
I completely agree. Oh, I love that one. Wow. Well, we have ran over time, and we're very, very grateful, Danai, that you've taken the time to let us ask you questions and learn more about you. Yeah, Jackie, do you have anything else?
I just have to say that, like I've said many times, I know I've known Danay for so many years, but every time that we have this type of conversations, I find something new, something amazing that she has to share, inspiring. She is the type of person, and this is one of the things that I love so much about her, is that she's always willing to share her knowledge. She's always willing to share that wealth. And it's just not, like she said, not that monetary wealth, but that wealth of information, knowledge. She's always willing to lend a hand to help you grow personally and professionally as well. So, and every time I hear her talk, I kind of learn a new piece of her puzzle. So I am so glad that you decided to join us and answer the questions. And I'm very proud of you, lady.
Thank you, Chica.
Well, everybody, before I close up the room, I just want to remind you, well, first, thanks again, Danai and Jackie, and to everybody who came up and asked a question and who sent in the questions. And I want to remind you, if you're not already following the club, to please follow the club. And we invite you to come and join us. We have a 9 a.m. Spanish networking room, and we also have the 10 a.m. And we have many other rooms. You can check out the schedule at the amigos.club. And please keep in mind that we're looking for more people to host rooms, because we know that you all have valuable information to share with our community. And the whole point, like you heard Danai, is to elevate and help each other out. So if you have any questions, reach out to any of the admins, reach out to Danai, or go to the amigos.club. The application to be a host or a moderator is on there. And with all that, good night and thank you so much. I'll go ahead and close up the room now in 10 seconds.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
night.
Bye.
Don't forget to join us next Wednesday at 7 p.m. We have the room, What Makes You Proud to Be a Latino or Latina, so you can share with us. So come back next Wednesday so you can share with us. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks for joining.